episode of Barlow's TV. I'm Stephen Barlow, here in the garden to talk to you about putting your garden to bed for the winter time. As you know, it's now the beginning of November and the temperatures are starting to get cool, and some of your perennials and your annuals just aren't looking like they want to go through the winter. So we've got to put our garden to bed. You see over here, I just ripped out some of these beginning impatiens. Can't believe they made it till November 1st, but they did, and now it's time for them to be removed from the garden and get everything cleaned up for the winter. So some of the tools I like to have on my winter cleanups are, a good pair of scissors. I'm going to show you how we cut back some perennials. These are a really good pair of pruning shears, and then you always want to have a good pair of pruners. These are some good Felco pruners, the best out there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by cutting back this hosta. This is what we call a herbaceous perennial. So what I mean by that is it has a leaf that dies back down to the ground every year. So what I want to do is I'm going to cut this back down, way back down, all the way down to the ground. These shears are great for that because they can cut back a lot of leaves in one spot. So what I'm also going to do is I want to make sure that as I'm cutting it back, I'm removing all the leaves from the garden. It's really important that you get all this debris out of your garden and you do not leave it in the garden, because what will happen is you'll have diseases that could be on the leaves that they'll overwinter and they can harm your plants next year. And you can also have insects living on those that you don't want to give them a safe haven for the winter, and they might attack your plants in the spring. So you really want to get everything cleaned up and remove it, put it in your compost bin or out at the curb, and the local towns will take that away. So once, like this hosta plant, there are perennials that you do want to actually mulch them in the winter. A nice fine layer of 2 inches of mulch on top of some of your tender perennials, such as like Russian sage or some of your echinaceas. What I like to do is I like to put a little bit of mulch over top of them. I'm just going to show you on this hosta what I would do. You don't need to go crazy with the mulch, but just a little bit. And what that does is it gives a blanket over top of the plant for the winter, so it prevents it from freezing and thawing and the drastic temperature changes that we do have in our Jersey winters. And as you know, they all say that it's going to be the coldest winter on record, but we're in Jersey and the weather can be warm one day and cold the next. So if you can keep that temperature constant with a little bit of mulch, it'll help that plant survive the winter. So I have that with my herbaceous perennials. Now I'm going to go over here to this. This is a limelight hydrangea. It's a paniculata, and this is one of the hydrangeas you can cut back now. The great thing about this one is you can actually cut these nice big blooms off and put them in a vase. You could spray them with some lacquer, which is a great idea. You can go to your local home improvement store, get some lacquer, spray them there, and you can use them as a vase and they'll last a little bit longer. So I'm going to cut this whole hydrangea back because it's not going to look that good this winter like this. And what will happen is it'll be a nice, full, bushy plant come next spring. I'm going to keep cutting this all the way back. And same thing with this, is you want to remove all this debris from your garden. You don't want to leave debris inside your garden this winter. So I'm going to come back to that and finish this later on. I want to show you one more thing in my garden here before I let you go. I have this crepe myrtle, and everyone always asks about a crepe myrtle. Do I cut a crepe myrtle back in the winter or do I just leave it? We really recommend you just leave your crepe myrtle. You don't want to cut it back because what will happen is it could push out new growth when we have a warm day in the wintertime. So we're going to leave this crepe myrtle, and in the springtime, right around the beginning of April, that's when I'm going to prune that. So I hope I gave you some useful tips on putting your garden to bed. Be sure to check out our landscape service. If you don't want to do it, we'll be sure to do it for you. We have a great crew that can make it a beautiful winter cleanup. Once again, I'm Steven. Thanks for watching.